most approaches to airports served by air traffic control, you'll likely have some vectoring.
The common procedure is to vector aircraft to the final approach course, though vectoring is also used for sequencing traffic. Generally, the controller will clear you for the approach just before or just after you intercept the final approach course. If you're cleared for the approach before you intercept, it'll likely be with a qualifier that a certain altitude be maintained until the final approach course is intercepted. Then the altitudes shown on the approach chart are the ones to use. While vectors seem automatic, with the controller issuing headings and you flying those headings, it's good to maintain situational awareness while being vectored. Most IFR airplanes have a GPS with a map, either installed or handheld, and this equipment is great while you're being vectored. Actually, you see the same picture that the controller sees. You can tell how far out you're going to be when you intercept, and you have a picture of the angle of the intercept. The GPS will give you track across the ground, and if the wind is strong and the airplane's slow, you can tell in advance if the assigned heading will indeed result in a timely intercept. Most vectors will put you on the final approach course a few miles outside the final approach fix. If you request it, controllers will sometimes give you a close turn, or for other traffic, they might ask you if you can take a close turn. If it's an ILS approach, do mind the glide slope, because more than one pilot has failed to notice that the airplane was above the glide slope on the localizer interception and didn't start down. Also, many autopilots will only capture and track a glide slope when it's intercepted from below. While you're being vectored, a controller may ask you to keep your speed up on final. That is a request, not a command, but a controller doesn't ask unless there's a need. Go over this with your instructor and practice not slowing to the normal approach speed until later in the approach. While vectors provide headings and altitudes to fly, they are not necessarily more difficult than flying transitions and full approaches as charted. Instrument approach procedures are carefully crafted to keep the airplane out of harm's way, as well as lead it to a point from which a normal landing can be made visually or into a missed approach. When flying one by the chart, make sure everything is well understood and the minimum published altitudes and the routes on the chart are flown. One reason a full approach might be flown is a lack of radar coverage. That means the controller isn't monitoring and the pilot is 100% on his own. A lot of pilots have wound up in the ditch because pilots misread a number.
Remember that GPS-driven map will tell you where you are when viewed from above, but it will not tell you the correct altitude to fly. Some will, however, tell you where you are in relation to higher terrain.